I'm in love. Not with Ceres, although I do like her, my favorite statue in the garden, but with our church's 1926 Midmer-Losh pipe organ. It was shipped down from Merrick, New York, that's Long Island, probably by rail. All hand-built, pipe by pipe, the wind chest, the console, the switches and relays, and what must be miles of electrical wiring. Actually, it may have been built as early as 1923, the same year the Midmer-Losh Organ Company built the world's largest organ in Atlantic City, just outside of New York. In 1969, the console was rebuilt by Elmer C. Ross of Greenwich, Connecticut. Today, we are contemplating replacing the hundreds of antiquated electrical mechanical switches with solid-state relays and switches. As music chairman, I feel the members of our church need to know how this great pipe organ actually works so well after almost 90 years. So listen and watch as we learn about the organ in William Longmore and Associates Workshop in Lakeland, Florida, and also discover what is in the organ loft in our church here in Tampa. I will take you on a tour that involves removing the wooden grills upstairs, a glimpse of the pipes, and the complex electrical work, and how it all works together, so you may understand what we need to know in terms of restoration. Thank you. Here we are at the console, and we're going to go over all of these controls, and then we will examine how they function electronically and mechanically to connect with the pipes, which are on either side at a distance of some, 15 or 16 feet on either side. But this is the console, and the first thing you're going to notice that there are 3 keyboards. Really there's 4. If you look down below my feet here, there's another set, and the number of notes in these manuals, which is what we call them, are 61 notes. There are fewer notes in the pedals, but each one of these keys, when I use the stops, which are located all across here, and these are connections where you can connect manual to manual and so forth. Okay, it sounds very complicated, and indeed it is. But we're going to just sample and see some of the things you can do with this and why the organ is such an instrument. So we're going to start with activating one of these manuals. If I depress a key right now, even though the organ motor for the pump and the wind chests is activated, nothing is going to sound. The reason for that is that in the wind chest, none of the air is getting to any pipe. To activate that, I must depress one of these, which is called a stop. And the stop, as you'll see on the tracker organ that Bill and his grandson built, has draw knobs, which if we redo the console, it will have those rather than these, which are depressed, with your fingers here. There will be knobs that draw out. Well, anyway, what happens is these should not be called stops at all. They should be called unstops. And the reason is that right now, all the holes are covered between the wind chest and the pipes. If I depress a stop, and I'm going to pick a flute, a 4-foot flute. Now this will activate this manual. This is called the grate, okay? Okay, that's the flute. And there is a pipe for every one of these keys. So this is why we have 61 notes. And I'll just go like this. I'll just do a little scale. And what that is each one of those notes is a separate pipe. So those pipes are arranged in ranks. Normally, when you play one of these manuals, in this case the Great Manual, we will do 2 stops, and that will really give a nice sound. So I'm going to pick a 4-foot flute, and a 4-foot pipe is kind of in the middle range here. Well, you can go all the way. You can do that, but you're starting with the 4-foot. 4-foot. That would be the lowest note. That would be the pipe that is the tallest. The shortest pipe, about that high, would be up here. Okay. Now the flute, 4-foot, I'm going to couple with, let me just pick a 16-foot, a bourdon, and let me pick a flautina, which is a 2-foot. Now let's see what we have. We have a nice range, nice sound. A nice sound. Now, that being said, let us do this. Let's go to another manual. You know, this is just so we're going to set this up. We're going to leave this, and anything we want to play on this. And now we're going to go set up one of the other manuals. Let's go to the swell. The swell is up here. And we're going to pick a clarinet. And we're going to pick one of my favorite, the viol celeste. And then just for fun, we're going to take the chimes. Now, that's only going to activate between about here and here. So I'm going to pick we have wonderful chimes, okay? And if we get rid of the other stops and just have the chimes, it's really nice. I discovered this when I played a couple weeks ago. It's nice to mix that. So I'm going to leave that just for now, just the way it is. Then I'm going to go down to this manual, which is called the choir. And the choir has its own ranks. And we'll see what a rank is. It's all the pipes of one stop arranged in a row, okay? And I'll remember 64 of them, okay, 64 notes. And we're going to take the choir, and I'm going to go down here. I'm going to pick a 16-foot. I'm going to pick a flute, and I like flutes, sorry. And I'm going to pick, let's do an 8-foot. Let's do the viol da gamba. That's an old instrument, okay. Very pleasant, very full. So let's suppose that I'm going to play a hymn. And what I can do with this is I can play it on any one of these manuals. So if I were to start, I could have been playing it down here. I could have been playing different registration. Or I can go down to the choir here and play it on this one. Now, I also have the pedals. So I can be playing on the pedals, but I've got to select the stops. Okay, so I'm going to go up here. I'm going to pick a 16-foot. It's going to be very deep. I'm going to pick a gedeckt, which is an 8-foot. Now, these pedals are tricky because you have to use your heel and you have to use your toe. And I'm wearing these shoes that are not appropriate by any means to doing this. Normally, an organist wears a shoe that looks something like this with a big heel and a relatively pointy toe. And that enables him or her to work the heel and the toe, because sometimes you have to cross your feet over when you're playing the pedals. And that gives us then 4 manuals. Okay. Now, let's say that here we are, Sunday morning, and we're going to sing this out in the congregation. And I want to introduce it. So I would like to pick something that's kind of soft, not too loud perhaps. So I'm just going to do this for fun, and I'm going to introduce it with the bells. Maybe it's our first hymn. So we go. Now, when everybody is ready to sing, why don't we give it a little more oomph? And when we get to the last verse, or the second even, maybe we want to make it even more, and I'm going to actually use a pedal here, which is called a crescendo pedal. Bill calls this the gas pedal, which I think is pretty funny. But what it is, it's actually something that will crescendo the music. Now, in this organ, as I press this pedal, if you can look over here, I don't know if you can see it, but it will light up lights. So there's green, 2 green, 3 green, 4 green. And I'm going to actually depress this while I'm playing on this manual. So here we go. You'll hear what happens. If you could hear that on the speakers that you're listening on, but what happened is different stops were brought in and different connections were made, which we can do manually as well. Let's try choir. Here's choir down here, and I'm going to take, let's see if I can do it, great to great, oh, I guess we can't do this on this organ. We can do choir to swell. Okay, let's go up to swell, and we're going to do the 4-foot pipes. We have taken these stops and we have integrated them into this. Well, you begin to see that this could go on forever. And our organist, Sam Alderman, when he was here, young guy, University of Tampa, you know, is going to have a brilliant career as an organist, but he spent nights here when he was playing for us, just exploring all of the different combinations with the stops. It was a whole world of excitement and adventure, and it is. And this is what's wonderful about a pipe organ. Given also that the pipes themselves are spectacular in their resonance, in the overtones. So some people that play the piano will look at this and they will say, well, that's not, you know, you don't have the range you have on a piano. Wrong. Okay, it goes all the way from the highest to the lowest, and we're down at 16 feet for that sound you just heard, but you can go into pipes that actually go up to 32 feet, 64 feet. We can't do it in this building. I don't think we get them in here, but those are really deep sounds, so there's a tremendous range. Okay, I think we've got, no, there's only one more thing here I want to show you. And that is, we have louvers on either side of the organ loft here where the pipes are kept. People playing the piano will say, gee, there are no dynamics with the organ. To some extent, that's true. If I depress, I'm just going to do a C chord here. There's no way that I can make that softer or louder by the way I touch the keys, unlike the piano. However, if you notice these other pedals here, these control the louvers. So I'm going to take this pedal right here, and it's going to activate a motor over in the chamber there, and it will, right now it's closed. the louvers are closed. So when I play this, that's what you get. But I want to make that louder. So I'm going to open those louvers. Just listen. Now there's a slight delay because it's an electric motor that opens those louvers. But here we go, and let's see if you notice a difference. So what's remarkable about the organ is that in terms of dynamics, I can actually start a note. This is something you can't do on the piano, okay? And I can have it change its dynamic by making it louder or softer. So let's say on the piano, you strike the note, it's going to be strong at first, you know, dynamically. I mean, hit it as hard as you can, and it's going to fade. But on the organ, let's just start it with the soft. Okay, we'll start soft, and we're going to open those louvers, and we can make it louder, and then we can, that's crescendo. Then we can do the opposite and go from all with the louvers. So this is really kind of neat, and you can do it, of course, with the ranks over there and the ranks over there. So these louvers, there's 2 sets. Okay, I think that's mostly, oh, there's one thing I forgot. Okay, you'll notice these little things here, little buttons. These are called pistons. And what the pistons do, you can actually set a registration with the stops, and it will save that on these different settings for the pistons. If your fingers are too busy, which can happen, particularly in very contemporary music, also in romantic music, as well as some Bach pieces or whatever, Baroque, you can use your feet. And down here are called toe pistons, and the toe pistons come in handy if you're going to do that. Now, some of the people that play the organ don't really actually use the pistons because we have different people playing. If we have the console redone, that will become very easily programmable and a lot easier to use than the present system. But it's the same principle. Okay, well, I think that kind of wraps up what you can do from the console. So thank you for staying with me and getting this far. Now that we've examined the role of the console as a control panel, let's see how it works in linking the manuals, the pedals, and other features to the pipes. Remember that the purely mechanical tracker organs before 1850 had no need for electrical switches or relays. Now we will see beyond the console, although it would be quite interesting to see what is inside the case itself. Joe sent you? Just a minute. Our first stop, no pun intended, will be a small room in the western organ chamber. Oh, here we are. Look at this room. This is a very small room, and these are where all the switches are. Okay, each one of these is for one of the manuals. So we have here, one will be for the choir, one will be for the all that stuff. And then behind me, this is what's really truly amazing. I'm going to pull this. This is to keep it from getting dust and stuff in it. Look at this. These are all, and we're going to show you one of these in a minute, how it works. Be very careful. We don't want to touch these. These are all of the electrical circuits, which are switches. And you can see how complex they are. And I'm going to show you one up close. We'll actually move it so that you can see how it works. Most of the following filming occurred in the William Longmore and Associates shop, with Bill answering the many questions I threw at him.
I have a lot of these little 12-note gang switches, I think. There's a lot of these on there. Isn't there a bunch of these 12-note gang switches on there?
Yes,
that's
actually
what it is.
almost exactly like that.
Yeah, these go like that. And eventually the pins can kind of wear out too sometimes if you get any spark.
Oh, but by the way, the sparking, were we talking on the phone about that?
Yeah, if you don't have the spark suppressing diodes.
You know, the spark, right.
Pins break right off.
Oh my gosh, this is so fragile. So these wires right in here
Yeah.
are what actually, they after a certain point in time, they disintegrate. Yes.
Yeah, if you're catching sparks there. But that, for lack of a better word, it's just a mechanical switch. That's probably a 10 or 12 node switch right there.
Wow.
But that solid state, you know, yourself is doing the same thing silently and much more reliable. This was an organ we pulled out over there in Sun City Center.
Oh, I see. So this, in comparison, is, I mean, it's just totally different. I mean, it's
Yeah, it's nothing. Nothing moves, you know. It's,
nothing moves. That's it.
that's it. You know. It's,
Aha. So that
I have to
this.
say, sometime you'll get a bad diode or something like that,
Uh-huh.
but it doesn't happen very often. Once they're working, you just let them go, and they usually are very reliable.
Oh my gosh. So that is the major.
This is our color-coded cabling we use on that.
Oh
That's
my gosh.
24-gauge bell wire. It's
This is what you've been trying to tell us, which would be very hard to comprehend without seeing.
yeah. So you got the PC board down there where it's all wave soldered and all that.
In a rather backwards presentation, I have left the best for last, which is the pipes themselves. We now know that each note has a pipe, and that each stop or kind of pipe has a rank of 61 notes. The pipes are in fact the heart of the organ, and it is the sounds they make that I am in love with. We have several $100,000 in pipes were we to talk of replacement value. They are in very good condition, and except for the leathering of the cradles on the valves for 2 ranks, which only needs to be done every 50 years, we're in very good shape. Please listen to Bill talking about the reason 2 ranks need new leather, 1/1000th of an inch thick, and softer than anything I have ever touched.
So the valves are like this. But when the leather gets like this, which you got on a couple of those offset chests, those big bases, the leather goes to heck in a handbag, let's face it.
Oh, so it's like a miniature bellows.
Yeah, it is. It just collapses. It's a valve.
Wow, so this leather, and
Where's some of that leather? The new stuff is the last 50 years at least. Here's what you got. This is the latest. This is a hair sheep, I think it is. One side's. That is.
so it's
That's
got to
about-
be really flexible.
That thing
and,
is, it comes in. Well, I think what are they? 10, 11 thousandths that extra thin. It's real thin. It can be different grade, well, different thicknesses.
and this is like leather from
A hair sheep, I think it is.
what?
A hair sheep, they say.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I've heard. We've got kangaroo leather here, we got goat leather for different applications. But this is strictly for valve leather, it's real thin. We size the pipes we use it for a test rack. But hypothetically, if this is the bottom of the inside of the chest, the pipe sitting on the top of it, you got valves like this. They replaced that pneumatic action with this type of a solenoid. The solenoid, so when it's electrified, it opens like that and speaks. Come in all different sizes. I mean, much smaller one for a smaller valve.
now you call that a solenoid?
Solenoid, yeah. That's what that is.
Okay. So let's listen to Bill Longmore's instructions on pipes.
About a minute. This is another rank now, 2 foot, 61 notes. You know, the fact that it's shaped like this is irrelevant, you know, but it is 61 notes. Sometimes they go chromatic, like, I think yours go chromatic, but different configuration. So you got 2 ranks. 2 ranks, 61.
And the composition of the pipe is what makes the sound different?
And the mouth, the cut up of the mouth, the way it's cut up, the wind way. There's just countless different ways to make it sound different. But the shape of the pipe, the body of the pipe, is very critical when it sounds, especially the reeds. You know what I mean? The reeds, the shape of the resonator and all
the
that.
reeds are wood.
read.
No.
I'll show you read out there.
Sorry, I see. This is
We
this
do-
is a big learning curve.
There's a wooden rack that goes in here, a nice melodia. It's a beautiful rack. They got a still in the warehouse. But a reed, well, I'm working on reeds over here right like that because it's too tall. So really, you got nothing more than it's no different than a clarinet or a saxophone. This only reed is, in this case, is brass. And the shallot is usually brass, although they've leathered this one to change the sound.
Wow.
So that's what we call the motor. Sound goes up through there into your resonator.
Look at this configuration here. What's this?
Yeah, that's a miter. Like I say, it was too tall, so they mitered.
Oh my gosh!
Now this, again, is a trumpet. Looks like standard shape of a trumpet. And you've got a Vox Humana human voice. This is the Vox Humana. It's built entirely different than that, and it's another version of reed. So you've got a Vox Humana, I think a nice clarinet. I like that clarinet.
clarinet's gorgeous.
And you got that big tromba reed, big reed like this, that trumpet in the grate. That's got a nice sound.
But it's not labeled trumpet on the.
What's the name? What is the name of tromba or what do they call it? It's a big scale, large scale trumpet is what it is.
Really?
I'm trying to think what they label it. Cornopian?
That's it.
Cornopian, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Now let's see how Bill and Nick tune our pipes twice a year, or as needed, a process that takes several hours.
Okay, now.
Let's go ahead and go with. Is that where we're tuning the Celeste to, or are we tuning it to the? Okay, start with that. Next.
Now that you have a heads up about the pipes, I would like to comment that the unique and individual voices of the pipes, with their overtones and harmonics, are why the organ was called by Mozart the king of instruments. Each organist responds to the color of each handmade pipe organ, bringing his or her receptivity to its individuality and their own experience. The immediacy of the tonal range and palette is exciting and inspiring. Perhaps this quality of soul prompted Mary Baker Eddy to specify in our church manual regarding music, organ. In conclusion, replacing the console is so necessary to replace the antiquated relays and switches into the reliability and easily repairable solid-state components, which will keep the organ playing for decades to come. Does this organ, which has served the church since 1926, with its richly resonant praise, deserve to be restored? Listen to part of a solo performed last year by Lothar Bergist, our soloist, and our young organist Sam Alderman, and that may inspire your decision.